Tianya glared at Feng. Are you blaming me? My precious granddaughter would not be in danger if you didn't help Feng. Do you think I'll let you go just because she's safe and sound now? I'm telling you, my granddaughter must have suffered because of that soul, and you're all the culprits. The old man was on the verge of tears as he thought about the suffering his granddaughter had endured. He then picked up a teacup and smashed it at Feng Lianqing. Feng Lianqing was bold enough to block it with his hand, but the teacup smashed his hand's bone, and his hand slowly turned red. He did not dare to utter a word, afraid that this old man would be even more furious. Look at you. You're not as smart as you are. She knows who to help. Helian Yu's face beamed with joy as she heard Tianya was praising her. She glared at Feng Lianqing and smirked. That's right. From the first time I saw Xiaoqing, I already knew she's a nice girl, unlike some people who unreasonably helped a demonic slut. Humph. Tianya snorted, stroking the white kitten in his arms expressionlessly. Feng Lianqing, you'll be punished when my granddaughter returns. If my granddaughter doesn't like you, then I've to drive you out of General Manor, and you will no longer be my disciple. Feng Lianqing raised his eyes in panic. Master, Tianya's face remained cold. Master, I will go and apologize until Maiden Feng forgives me. If she insists on not forgiving me, then I snap. Helian Yu grabbed the teacup and threw it at Feng Lianqing. When Tianya hit Feng Lianqing, the crowd still felt excusable, but now the one who did it was Helian Yu. Me for extra chapters. Helian Yu, who had chased after Feng Lianqing since he was a child. Even Helianing was also surprised to see Helian Yu do that. She felt like her cousin of his was a little different than before. Feng Lianqing, how dare you insult my Xiaoqing? I didn't, don't you dare say you didn't. Listen here, my Xiaoqing is a gentle and generous person. She has a very forgiving heart and holds no grudge. She still accepted the little prince even after the emperor had almost killed her before. She didn't kill the imperial family, and she has saved the little princess. If she doesn't forgive someone, it means that person has done something evil. I will always support her. Qi Fang became panicked. He trembled as he raised his head, facing a pair of cold eyes. His life as the emperor of this kingdom was not as great as what people thought. He would be fine if his father were here. Unfortunately, his father had already passed away, and the people in this mainland would only show their respect to the powerful ruler. But the more Helian Yu thought about it, the more aggrieved she became. But brother Lianqing was still defending Feng Lianqing. Feng Lianqing had mentioned it when they were in the Spirit Beast Mountain. However, at that time, Tianya did not know that the person being framed was his granddaughter, and he did not know that Feng Lianqing almost killed her. In an instant, the cold aura emitted from Tianya's body surrounded the entire main hall. Qi Fang and Feng Lianqing's faces had turned pale, only the little prince was still happily smiling. Master, I can explain, Feng Lianqing trembled. His face was all white, panicked. Qi Fang's face was also somewhat white, but he still needed to maintain his dignity as the emperor. He remained silent and looked at Helian Yu, wishing this girl to say something on their behalf. The atmosphere in the main hall became tense. Everyone remained silent, and it was so quiet that some of the people there could feel their breathing grow heavier. Fortunately, a voice broke the silence. Is General Tianya here? Tianya frowned slightly as he followed the voice and saw a familiar face. His face darkened. What are you doing here? The person standing outside the hall was a young man in silk robes, but he no longer had the arrogance he had before. However, those present looked uncomfortable after seeing this young man. No one had forgotten how this man had attacked General Manor last night. I'm here to compensate you, the young man said respectfully. General Tianya, please calculate the losses of your general manor. Give me the receipt, and I'll have someone bring you the silver later. All of them were stunned as if this was the first time they met this man. Chi Fong was even more incredulous. You just said you want to compensate General Manor. Yes. After all, I was the one who went too far last night, which caused General Manor to suffer heavy losses. It's better if I compensate you. The young man was smiling, and his voice remained respectful. Me for extra chapters. The entire hall was quiet. After a moment of silence, Tianya faintly commanded, Feng Lianqing. Feng Lianqing trembled in fear. Master. Master, I'm here. You go settle an account and report it to him so that he can compensate me tenfold. Including the cost of my granddaughter's mental anguish and the cost of frightening those servants in my manor. Tenfold, Feng Lianqing's mouth twitched. Since when did Master become so ruthless? Furthermore, it was Feng Ruqing who beat up Second Prince yesterday. Would she pay for the emotional damage? Feng Lianqing did not understand what had impelled Second Prince into a kind of madness and wanted to take the initiative to compensate. However, would he still agree with his master's demand when his master being so mean to Second Prince? After all, Yunhuan Kingdom's emperor was a king warrior, unlike Chi Fong, who was useless. Second Prince still had a smile on his face. It's my pleasure. I'll immediately pay as you wished. Everyone was speechless. For some reason, Feng Lianqing had a feeling that even if his master told Second Prince to commit suicide, he would immediately carry it out. Could it be that Master had beaten Yunhuan Kingdom's emperor last night, causing his son to be so obedient today? Oh, one more thing. Second Prince seemed to have remembered something and said, General, Lady Nan asked me to come back and say that she's going to find the Duan family in Yunhuan Kingdom. You don't have to look for her, General. She'll be back soon. Feng Lianqing stared at Second Prince, confused. He suddenly had a feeling that Second Prince had become so well-behaved, and this must have something to do with Feng Ruqing, the Duan family of Yunhuan Kingdom. Tian Ya's face darkened. Why is my granddaughter looking for the Duan family? Are they messing with my granddaughter? Feng Lianqing, go and deploy the soldiers. Forget it. I'll go by myself. Those soldiers are too slow. I can't wait anymore. Feng Lianqing was silent for a moment. Master, don't you think that it's Sister Ruqing who is going to mess them up? Feng Lianqing no longer called Feng Ruqing Maiden Feng but now had changed to Sister Ruqing. If Qin Zhu were here, it would definitely bite his neck. Nonsense. Tianya was burning with anger. My granddaughter is such a good girl. How could she go looking for trouble from others? Someone must have messed with her. Feng Lianqing, you wait for me to come back to settle the score. Tianya quickly rushed toward the door as soon as he finished his words. Feng Lianqing was a bit confused. Sister Ruqing is well-behaved. How can Master see that she is well-behaved? Helian Yu's face sank as she deliberately walked toward Feng Lianqing. Feng Lianqing noticed that Helian Yu was coming to him and thought that Helian Yu would continue to chase after him as usual. However, before he could say anything, the young girl had hit him hard with her shoulder, knocking him as he stumbled backward. She looked at him with a malevolent expression, as if Feng Lianqing had committed an unpardonable sin. Feng Lianqing, I was so disappointed with you when you chose to trust Feng Lianyi back then. However, I still believed that you were the same brother Lianqing, the same hero I once had in my heart. But I never thought that you would go so far. Feng Lianqing's eyes were filled with guilt. Young Lady Helian, it was indeed my fault in the beginning. If I had let Feng Lianyi leave earlier, perhaps, me for extra chapters. Feng Lianqing. Helian Yu snapped viciously. Her eyes were filled with anger. How dare you humiliate my Xiao Qing saying that she is not good. She is a good and cute granddaughter. Who are you to humiliate her like this? Feng Lianqing was speechless. I hate you. I'll never speak to you again. Helian Yu once again knocked Feng Lianqing back a few steps with her shoulder fiercely. She then turned around and left, never looking back again. She would never forget that Feng Ruqing enlightened her when Feng Lianqing broke her heart back then. Feng Ruqing taught her to cultivate and made her understand that men were not the most important thing in her life. Feng Ruqing taught her to love herself more and never lose her ego over a man. Feng Lianqing looked at Helian Yu dumbfoundedly. Her words somehow made his heart feel so bad. This feeling came too suddenly. He was silent for a while, lost in thought. Big brother Feng. Helianing approached Feng Lianqing and sighed lightly. Sister Yuer is a bit capricious because she has Tianya to protect her, and now she has young lady Feng to back her up. Please don't ever be reckless with Sister Yuer. She has lost her father and mother since she was young. She had no one to teach her well, and that's why she has become like this. Chapter 1658. Xiao Ya's whereabouts 7. These words were very pleasant at first, but as he thought about it carefully, it did sound a bit harsh. Feng Lianqing looked back at Helianing coldly. You mean to say, young lady Helian follows my master every day, and my master has not taught her well? Her face turned pale. She bit her lip and lowered her head. That's not what I meant, Helianing, she's your sister. No matter how temperamental she is, you shouldn't call her uneducated in front of me again. Feng Lianqing did not like Helianing before, and he did not hate her. However, now, he felt like he wanted to keep his distance from her and wished never to meet her again. That was why he ignored Helianing, who was behind him, and slowly walked out of the main hall. Helianing clenched her hands tightly. The pain in her heart was a little unbearable. She had known Brother Feng for so many years. Yet, why had Brother Feng never cared about her feelings? She was more gentle and kind than Helian Yu, who was so arrogant, wasn't she? Helianing regained her calmness. Feng Lianqing and her rarely spent time together even though they had known each other since childhood, unlike Helian Yu, who could come to General Manor often. She believed that Brother Feng would like her back as long as they got along with each other for a long time. Helianing no longer thought about it and walked out of the hall. Only the 4 members of the imperial family were left. The Empress' face was cold, and she refused to say much, not even wanting to pay attention to the man beside her. Qi Fang looked somewhat awkward. Empress, this matter. It was indeed my fault. It seems like you and young Lady Feng have been very close recently. How about you go to her and say a few nice words for me? It was tragic for him to be an emperor of his kingdom but still needed to obey a general. However, he had no other choices. If Tianya were not his general, his kingdom would have been annexed long ago, and his people would have suffered. Therefore, he had to respect general and endure it for his people. Qi Fang felt a bit sorry for himself as he thought about it. The Empress remained expressionless. Yuer, Qiner, let's go, me for extra chapters. She held their hands and wanted to leave the hall. Qi Fang was a bit flustered and hurriedly grabbed the Empress' arm. Empress, won't you think about it anymore? The Empress stopped in her tracks and sneered. For what? Do you think I didn't know that Yuer was compelled by your gentle and kind son to go to the Spirit Beast Mountain alone? My son was framed. Don't you say these things have nothing to do with them, even the one who harmed Qiner must have something to do with that mother and son, but what did you do? Is there any emperor who is as cowardly as you? Yes, you want to protect your people, so you didn't dare to touch Feng Lianyi or seek justice for your son. You would do anything to protect your kingdom. Yet you are so incompetent. You are not as strong as the emperors of other kingdoms. Why are you so scared of others? Fortunately, Maiden Fong is General Tian Ya's granddaughter. If General Tian Ya's granddaughter is Fong Lianyi, would you have abandoned us to please Fong Lianyi? Obviously. He already knew that it was Fong Lianyi who had framed Yue. However, as the emperor of a kingdom, he could not protect his own son, he could not even protect his family, so how could he talk about protecting the entire kingdom? The empress looked frustrated. You are great as an emperor, but not as my husband. I'm your empress, but we are not a husband and wife, you are just a ruler and I, an officer. And the same goes for Qi Yu. In the imperial family, there was no such husband and wife, father and son relationship. There was only the ruler and his servant, no one could disobey him. However, all she wanted was just to be as loving as a normal couple. She wanted her husband to be a good father for her son and then find a good man for her daughter. She did not want her daughter to engage with any arranged marriage for the sake of the kingdom. So, she was tired. She envied Feng Ruqing, who could live freely and not be bothered by anything. Emperor, it has been a long time since I visited my mother. I plan to go home to check on her, so I want to ask for your permission. Her tone was no longer as angry as it was before but distant and polite. It also made it difficult for Qi Fang to reply for a while. It was not until a short while later that he sighed lightly and said, I'll order someone to escort you back. No need, I'll bring my servants with me. They can protect me. As soon as Qi Yu heard that the empress was leaving, he became a bit anxious. Mother, I'm not leaving. I want to stay with pretty sister so I can learn many things with her. Qi Qiner also nodded and looked at the empress expectantly. The empress smiled. I'm not taking both of you with me. I don't worry about you guys following Maiden Fong, unlike in the palace. Perhaps, if I'm not there, you'll all lose your lives at any time. Don't worry, I'm just going back for a while, and I'll come back later. Alright, Qi Yu was relieved, but Qi Qiner looked a bit worried. Mother. When will you be back? 3 months. I'll be back in 3 months. Qi Qiner smiled. Then, I'll wait for you at Sister Feng's manor. Don't worry. We won't go back to the palace. We don't want to die there. She had almost died back then, and she was so scared to live alone in the palace again. She could only feel safe when she stayed with Feng Ruqing. Qi Fang was somewhat saddened to see his wife and his children leaving him. Me for extra chapters. Back then, he and the Empress were a lovely couple who were envied by everyone. His children were so proud of him and loved to stay with him in the palace. Had he done something wrong? Qi Fang fell silent, lost in thought. Yunhuan Kingdom. Duan Manor. A mocking voice echoed through the courtyard. I don't understand why our young master brought back a disfigured mute. Second lady is so beautiful. That mute is nothing compared to our second lady. Shoo, don't say that. I heard that this mute used to be the young lady, but she ran away with another man back then. Now, that man has abandoned her and hurt her to such an extent, so she has returned to find our young master. Young master is so pitiful. He abandoned his second wife for her, and she ended up running away with someone else. I heard that she has been with more than one man. The wives of those men found her, ruined her face, and poisoned her until she was mute. That is her fault then. She deserved it. Such a woman is not worthy of our young master. The servants suddenly stopped talking as they saw a man walking past them with a bowl of herbs. They lowered their heads and continued with their works, not daring to discuss any further. Duan Qiong smiled as he walked slowly toward the backyard with a bowl of herbs. This was the spirit herb that he got from his father after begging him. It was said to be very effective and could return Ye's voice. In a luxurious guest room. The air was filled with the faint scent of fragrance as the breeze blew the red bed netting gently. A woman, whose face was disfigured, sat still on the bed. She was covered with bruises and scars, and it was heartbreaking to see. Suddenly, she heard the sound of the door being opened. She lifted her head to look at the man who came in through the door. Yair, the man was dressed in an elegant silk robe. Even though he was already in his middle age, he was still handsome and dashing, with a warm and genial smile. It was just like the first time she saw him back then. His gentle smile bewitched her, and from then on, she had decided to step into Duan Manor, despite everything. However, she had never thought that this was a road of no return, a nightmare. Xiaoye clutched the bed sheet as her eyes were filled with hatred. Her deep hatred caused Duan Qiong's heart to shrink, and his smile became a little bitter. Yair, I know you don't trust me anymore. What happened back then? It wasn't my doing. I have never hunted you and your daughter. Xiaoye slowly closed her eyes. Whether what he said was true or not, it was already irrelevant to her. Whether the person who did this was Duan Qiong or not, he was still one of the Duan family members. The Duan family had made her lose her daughter, and they almost killed her. Yair, Duan Qiong reached out his hand to grab Xiaoya's arm, trying to comfort her. Xiaoye opened her eyes and fiercely shook off his hand, her eyes wary, and her expression tense. It was like a thorn in his heart, stabbing him hard and causing him to bleed. Yair, I know you're blaming me. It's fine. I'll wait until you forgive me. Duan Qiong smiled faintly and showed the herbal soup in his hand to Xiaoye. I had a hard time finding this for you. Drink it so you can talk again, me for extra chapters. He did not dare to say that he had asked his father for it. If Xiaoye knew that his father was the one who gave it to him, she would definitely refuse to drink it. Xiaoye lowered her eyes and looked at the herbal soup that Duan Qiong handed to her. She sneered and pushed it away. If Duan Qiong had not dodged quickly enough, perhaps the herbal soup would have spilled and fallen to the ground. Yair, Duan Qiong frowned. Drink this herb. If you listen to me, I'll let you leave the Duan family. Xiaoya's eyes visibly lit up after she heard these words, and there was hope in those eyes. Duan Qiong's heart was a little broken. Yair was so clingy to him back then that she did not want to leave his side, even for a moment. But now, she was itching to leave him. Yair, don't you want to stay here? Duan Qiong closed his eyes, and his voice was trembling. Yair had fallen from the sky and happened to land in front of him a few days ago. He loved her so much that even though she had been disfigured, he could still recognize her at a glance. He thought it was because his deep infatuation over the years had finally touched God, and that was why God had sent her back to his side. But Yair was trying to escape from him in every possible way. Xiaoye was slightly startled. She lowered her eyes. Her heart slightly softened when she saw the pain on the man's face. She would never forgive him even if the one who hunted her back then was not Duan Qiong. He had brought harm to her and her daughter, and he was not decisive enough to protect them. However, now that she thought about it, all things that had happened to her was not really Duan Qiong's fault but the Duan family. Therefore, she could never stay in this family again. She wanted to go back to Fengruching. Xiaoye grabbed the herbal soup from Duan Qiong's hand. She did not look at him when she quickly downed the soup. She wiped off the water stains on the corner of her mouth and threw the bowl on the ground. She then turned around and looked at Duan Qiong. The woman's eyes were so beautiful, especially back then, the way she smiled was unforgettable. However, Duan Qiong's heart ached once again as he could not remember how long it had been since he had seen her smiling face. Sorry, Yair, I'm sorry, Yair. I can't let you go. All these years of grief. I can't bear it anymore. I don't want to lose you again, even if I have to force you to stay with me. He had suffered for almost 20 years. He could not live without her. Xiaoya was filled with rage, and her face flushed with anger. Suddenly, she felt something strange inside her throat, making it difficult to breathe. Her face reddened. Initially, Duan Qiong thought that Xiaoya was angry and did not pay much attention to it, but the more he looked at her, the more he felt that something was wrong. His eyes flashed with panic. Yair, what's wrong with you? Poof! Xiaoya spurted a mouthful of blood, spraying it on Duan Qiong's lapel. Her face turned pale, staring fiercely at Duan Qiong. Yair! Duan Qiong panicked and rushed forward to help her. However, Xiaoya did not want to be touched by him, so she pushed him away. She staggered, unable to stand, and even her hand that was holding the brush was trembling. Me for extra chapters. Who gave this herbal soup to you? She wrote on a paper. Her hand movement became extremely slow because of her discomfort, but the words were like weeping blood, filled with anger. Duan Qiong seemed to have understood something. His face darkened. Seeing Duan Qiong's expression, Xiaoya laughed sarcastically and wrote a few words on the paper. I shouldn't have trusted you. After she wrote the last word, Xiaoya spurted a mouthful of blood once again. Duan Qiong became increasingly panicked. He tried to hold Xiaoya, but not knowing where her strength came from, she pushed away Duan Qiong hard, sending him back a few meters, stumbling against the door. Her left hand clutched the right side of her chest. She was having trouble breathing. The servants kneeled on the ground, not even having the courage to raise their heads to look at Duan Qiong. Duan Qiong lowered his eyes, and when he looked at Xiaoya again, those eyes were full of tenderness. He caressed her hair and said gently, Yair, wait for me here. I'm going to find my father, and I'll be back soon to accompany you, Duan Manor. An old man sat calmly in his luxurious study room. He probably knew that Duan Qiong would still come looking for him, so he was unperturbed when he saw Duan Qiong rushing in anger. What you gave me isn't purple ginseng. Duan Qiong smashed his fist on the desk. His voice was filled with anger. The old man smiled calmly, of course not. How could I use such a good spirit herb to save a useless person? Father. She's my wife. We are legally married. Legally married. The old man sneered. You brought her in while I was not in Duan Manor, so that's what you called legally married. She's a bad woman. Tian'er is much better than her. Marriage without his blessing was not counted as a legal marriage. If he had not left Duan Manor for something back then, would that woman still be able to enter his Duan family? In any case, she and I are legally married, and my grandfather has witnessed our marriage, me for extra chapters. Duan Dan frowned. Your grandfather has already passed away, and what you're doing is very unfilial. Furthermore, I am your father, so you must have my blessing, not your grandfather. Even if his grandfather was still alive, his father was the only one who could make the decisions for him. Duan Dan was the one who had established the Duan family's empire, and even though his grandfather was the eldest in this family, he had no power in the Duan family. Duan Dan was the only one who could make the decisions in the Duan family. A marriage witnessed by that old man was illegal. Father. Duan Qiong clenched his fists tightly. No matter what, you shouldn't have hurt her. You've sent people to hunt her down and kill her, and now you're using me to harm her. Why are you treating her like this? Why? Duan Qiong shouted at him angrily, his body trembling with anger. Why? Don't you understand? Duan Dan stood up and smiled coldly. I just poisoned her. The antidote is in my hands. She won't die for now. You have to stay in Tian'er's room tonight. I want a grandson from you and Tianer. Then, I'll give you the antidote. Duan Cheong's heart hurt as if it was punched hard by someone. Why do you have to force me? Am I even your son? It's because you're my son that I'm helping you like this. In the future, you'll understand that everything I do is for your good. That woman would bring no good to you. With her condition right now, she'll only drag you down and get you killed sooner or later. Duan Don's face was cold. It's getting late. You should go to Tianer's room tonight. Otherwise, without my antidote, she will surely die. I'll send someone to guard the door, so you cannot leave Tianer's room. I'll immediately kill that woman if you try to fool me. Duan Cheong stared at his father with eyes full of hatred for a few seconds before turning around and walking out of the study. When he reached the door, he stopped in his tracks and turned around. I can do as you ask, but no one in the Duan family can hurt Yair again. Everyone must respect her. Don't worry. This woman didn't deserve to be your wife, but she can be your concubine. You just have to obey me, and I'll never hurt her again. Good. Duan Cheong's voice was cold and emotionless as he stepped out of the room and gradually disappeared in front of Old Master Duan. Old Master Duan looked at Duan Cheong's departing figure and sighed lightly. Cheonger, you will definitely understand that it's for your good. Lieni is now with Tianya, and he treats her like his granddaughter. So, if you get into trouble in the future because of that mute, you will still need Lieni to save you. That woman will only harm you. The only one who can really help you is Tianer. You'll understand later. Even that woman's daughter was a scourge that would only bring endless harm to the Duan family in the future. The only people who can help him were Tianer and her daughter. As night fell, she still felt discomfort in her chest and her throat. Her body was weak. However, what made her feel odd was that Duan Cheong would usually come and accompany her every night, but tonight, he did not go to her. The servant who stayed with her seemed to have sensed Xiao Ya's thoughts and sneered. You don't have to wait for young master. Young master has already gone to second lady. Ops. No, he has gone to Lady Tian's room, and he won't come over tonight. Actually, young master and Lady Tian love each other. Young master only pities you. It's only been a few months with you, but he has already missed his wife. Of course, he will go to her tonight. Xiaoya was surprised. She turned her head and stared at the moon outside the window. The dim moonlight lit up her disfigured face. It turns out that, he's lying to me again. He lied to her about the herbal soup and did not tell her that that old man gave it. Now, he had lied to her again. When he got her back, he said that he would only accompany her alone in this life and would not do anything to hurt her again. Me for extra chapters. However, he had hurt her again. Of course. If he was loyal to her, how could he have had a daughter with someone else back then? He said he was framed back then, but when she came back this time, there was another young master in the Duan family, Xiaoya sneered. Men are all liars. Obviously, she had already wanted to escape from the Duan family, but he stopped her. And hurt her heart again. This would be the last time he broke her heart. Xiaoya turned her head expressionlessly. The servant did not expect Xiaoya to be so calm after hearing this. It was said that back then, she would not even let other women come close to young master. When she heard that young master had slept with Lady Tian, she was even angrier and immediately left the Duan family. But why does she look so calm now? Duan Cheong only returned the next day. There were a few people sent by Master Duan to guard him outside the door, and he could not get out of that room even after he had settled his task. As he reached in front of Xiao Ya's room, he was actually a little wimpy, not knowing how to face her. No, he had to face her after all. After staying silent for a moment, he pushed open the door and walked in. Initially, he had a lot of things to say, but after he saw Xiao Ya's slightly pale face under the sunlight, all his words suddenly disappeared, and all that remained was heartache. I'm sorry about last night." Xiao Ya turned her head. Her eyes were clear. Duan Qiong paused and gritted his teeth. "One of the rooms in Duan Manor caught fire yesterday, and I went to deal with it. That's why I didn't come to you." He could not let Xiao Ya know that he had gone to another woman's room. If she knew, she would definitely leave him after she had recovered. Xiao Ya looked at Duan Qiong. He has lied again and again. It's the third time already. Xiao Ya smirked and pointed at the paper and pencil on the table. She could not stand up, so she could only ask Duan Qiong to help her. Duan Qiong never thought that Xiao Ya would let him help. He felt somewhat flattered and ran over to take the paper and pencil and handed it to her. "Here you go." Xiao Ya took the paper and pencil and wrote something. "Last night, second lady." "Oh, no. Your Lady Tian sent a servant to tell me that you went to her room, and my name is not Yair. Call me Xiao Ya." Duan Qiong suddenly stiffened. The humiliation of the lie that had been exposed made it somewhat difficult for him to face Xiao Ya. Xiao Ya looked coldly at Duan Qiong's shocked face. She would never let them bully her again. The ninth emperor had taught her back then that she had to make the one who upset her suffer pain. Yair, Duan Qiong was panicked. "Listen to me, my father forced me to do this. He threatened me with your life. I didn't mean to deceive you. I was afraid you'd be sad." Xiao Ya glanced at him coldly. Duan Qiong went silent, and only after a moment did he continue to defend himself. "Yair, I'm sorry, I just want to get the antidote for you. Don't worry, when you've recovered, he'll take you away from the Duan family, and run away from here. Can you please give me a little more time?" Xiao Ya lowered her head, sneered. He said it was for her that he had gone to another woman's room. However, he had forgotten the person who had deceived her, made her drink the poison and ended up like this. Me for extra chapters. Yair, can you wait for me for a while? Well, go far away from this place. Duan Qiong reached out and held Xiao Ya's hand with grief in his eyes. Xiao Ya smiled. If he followed her when Duan Yu tried to stop him from marrying her back then, perhaps both would not suffer like today. In the end, she was the one who had to stay in the Duan family for him, and she had to endure all the humiliations from his family. Just because she thought he could make her happy. If he had not slept with another woman, she would not have to leave this place and suffer countless nightmares for the whole of her life. Seeing that Yair did not reply to him, Duan Qiong was even more panicked and said, "I promise this is the last time. I will never go to her room again." Yair smiled coldly. He made the same promise as back then. But then came another child. "Yair, I'm tired." Xiao Ya wrote those words quietly on the paper. She then closed her eyes, not wanting to pay him any more attention. When will she come? Xiao Ya was so eager to get out of this place. She did not want to stay here anymore. Yunhuan Kingdom. Feng Ruqing stopped on a mountain outside the main city. She caressed Qing Zhu and frowned. Nan Xian is faster than me, but why hasn't he caught up after so long? Oh, maybe he's lost. Qing Zhu tilted its head. Feng Ruqing was speechless. The one who always got lost was Sui, not Nan Xian. Xiao Zhu, how did you leave the mark? Are you sure Nan Xian can find us? Feng Ruqing stroked her chin and asked. Oh, I pooped along the way. If my master smells it, he will know that's mine. Then, he will follow it and find us. Feng Ruqing was speechless again. Who wants to go close to feces and smell it? Feng Ruking's face darkened as she picked up the snake by its tail and threw it away. Go find Nan Xian. She was so stupid to trust a snake. Qing Zhu was confused. It rolled on the ground and flung itself at Feng Ruqing again. Princess, don't leave me. I don't know the way. How am I going to find my master? I might also get lost. And become a homeless snake. Qing Zhu cried pitifully. Feng Ruking's face remained livid as she said, I'll kill you if Nan Xian still does not appear after I have found Xiaoya. Qing Zhu trembled in fear. Princess, it's only the Duan family. You can defeat them easily, so you don't have to bring master with you. I won't feel like killing you after seeing my state preceptor's handsome face. Qing Zhu trembled harder. Let's go. Feng Ruqing remained expressionless. Let's go find Xiaoya. Qing Zhu did not cry anymore. It was silent for a moment before it asked, Princess, what if Xiaoya refuses to follow you back after we've met the Duan family, me for extra chapters? Feng Ruqing glanced coldly. Duan Qiong has other women, so why is he still keeping my Xiaoya? But he is Xiaoya's husband after all. What if Xiaoya loves him dearly and refuses to leave? Qing Zhu tilted its head. Do you want me to knock her out with poison? Feng Ruking's gaze sank. I don't think Xiaoya will have a good life in the Duan family. They hate her, and Duan Qiong has another woman. She will suffer there. But if she really doesn't want to go with me, Feng Ruqing was a little annoyed. Then, I'll have to let Little Pot do it. Kill all the members of the Duan family. Qing Zhu's eyes were a little excited. No, well, make them Xiaoya's slaves, and if they refuse to do so, I'll beat them until they submit to Xiaoya. Feng Ruqing sneered as she stroked her sleeves. Qing Zhu shrank back in fear. Princess is really different from others. Other people. They would probably have just knocked Xiaoya unconscious and taken her away. Hee, turning the Duan family into Xiaoya's slaves. Qing Zhu could not help but feel some sympathy for that Duan family. However, it was also exciting to see that, Feng Ruqing lifted her head and stared at the city gate that was not far away. Her cold smile grew wider, and even her eyes were filled with coldness. Master, even though Qiya's status is low, is it worth it for you to fight with young master over this matter? Old Master Duan's face was cold as he heard Duan Qiong's angry voice outside the door again. His face darkened. You know nothing. That woman isn't human. She's a spirit beast. A spirit beast? The old housekeeper was stunned. Qiya is a spirit beast. Why haven't I noticed that? I didn't realize it first. I found out about this when Qiya was already pregnant. A child born from a spirit beast and a human is unusual. She was born with some powerful and dangerous abilities to humans and might bring harm to us. What would other people say if they knew about this? The old housekeeper trembled, his eyes filled with shock. Dangerous abilities to humans, the Duan family will be in danger. Does young master know about this matter? I don't know, but he has been with Qiya for years. I believe that he already knew about it. He's just fooling himself. That's why I have sent people to hunt Qiya and her daughter back then. Otherwise, they would bring more harm to the future. Qiong'er would definitely protect them, and he would only drag our Duan family down. The old housekeeper was silent. He finally understood why the old master had treated Qiya like this. If Qiya had never had a child, the old master would have only driven her out, he would not try to kill her. Qiya and her daughter suddenly disappeared. After so many years, she came back again, but alone without that bastard by her side. So, I'm sure her child has died. However, I'm afraid that these two will give birth to another bastard and bring more troubles to my family again. Furthermore, Chia is a spirit beast, and all of the spirit beasts in Land of No Return belong to the Nan family. Old Master Duan paused for a moment before continuing, so, there's still quite a bit of trouble if he keeps Chia here. The old housekeeper frowned. Indeed, all spirit beasts in this land belonged to the Nan family. The strong one could serve as a guard, while the weak one could become the servant for the Nan family, including Chia and other spirit beasts that could change into humans. Even if she were weak, the Nan family would not release her. That's why I said that Chia could bring trouble to him. The only ones who could help him were Tiana and her daughter, but he didn't listen to me and insisted on keeping that spirit beast, me, for extra chapters. The old housekeeper thought for a moment and said, Master, we have to explain all these things to young Master truthfully. He will definitely understand what you're trying to do. No need. That brat is very stubborn. Luckily, Tiana loves him so much. When something bad happens in the future, there will be no need to worry if we have Tiana to help us. Can Tiana fight with the Nan family? The old housekeeper was startled. Tiana was powerful, but no matter how strong he was, he could not compare to the Nan family that ruled the entire Spirit Beast Mountain. The old Master Duan laughed. Tiana isn't a match for the Nan family right now, but he's the only one who dared to piss the Nan family off and escape from them. One day his strength will surpass the Nan family. I believe in him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have sent Ear to him. It was good that Ear fought for her life, and that Tiana had treated her well. Unlike Chia's bastard daughter. Even if that bastard were still alive, she would only bring a disaster to his family. There was no use to keep her with them. It would only bring countless enemies to the Duan family. If he wants to get angry, just let him be. But he must go to Tiana's room every night. He hates me now, but he will be grateful for what I've done later. The old housekeeper nodded approvingly. There's no father in this world who doesn't love his son. Master is indeed a bit harsh, but everything he does is for young Master's sake. Young Master was young and ignorant back then. That's why he did not listen to Master. But he will naturally understand it later. Duan Manor. The classic main gate was big, with two stately lion statues in front of it. A figure in red dress stopped at the entrance, stroking her chin, looking up at the gate in front of her. A sign with the words Duan Manor shined on top of the main gate. Xiao Zhu, I think this is the place we're looking for because there's only one Duan family in this city. Qing Zhu nodded. I think so. Why don't you go up and ask? Feng Ruqing looked up and stepped toward the gate. When two guards saw a woman approaching, they stopped her with a long spear. Feng Ruqing, as she did not know if this Duan family was the one she was looking for, asked politely, May I ask if this Duan family, the one Duan Qiong is from? How dare you? The guard snapped coldly, How can you call the Duan family's young master by his first name? Don't think that just because you are pregnant, you want to frame our young master. He only has Lady Tian in his life. Go. Get out of here. The Duan family was one of the most influential families in the main city, and the young master was the only heir. There were too many women who wanted to seduce the young master, but the only one who came with a pregnant belly was this one. Presumably, she had slept with young master. She's pregnant now and wants to threaten young master. Ridiculous. Lady Tian will never let this girl in. Snap. Feng Ruqing slapped the guard so hard that she did not know how much force she had used, sending him flying a few meters away, crashing against the wall. A white foam began pouring from the guard's mouth, and he eventually fainted. Feng Ruqing looked at her hand and then at the unconscious guard. He was the one who insulted me first. She had initially wanted to see how the Duan family treated Xiaoya, especially the one called Duan Qiong. Who knew that the guard would insult her as soon as she arrived? She could not hold back her anger, so she had slapped him. By the way, did he just say Lady Tian? Feng Ruqing looked sideways at the other guard. Who is Lady Tian? The guard was dumbfounded until he heard Feng Ruqing's question. He regained his senses and replied, trembling, Lady Tian. She's our young master's second wife, me for extra chapters. But young master did not allow us to address her as young lady, so that's why we called her Lady Tian, and this woman looks like she has come from a bad place. She must have seduced young master outside the manor. Lady Tian always treats her servants well, so I have to back up Lady Tian. Oh, Feng Ruqing asked again, what is your young lad's full name? The one who just returned home. Could it be that Xiaoya's name is Tianer? Lady Tian's name is Jin Tian, and she has never left the Duan family. Feng Ruqing's face sank. Duan Qiong already has a wife. Then, why is he still keeping Xiaoya? If Duan Qiong loved Xiaoya, there would have been no Feng Lianyi, and she had heard that he had other children. So how can a man like this be good enough for Xiaoya? Qing Zhu was also a bit stunned. This scum already has a wife, but he still took Xiaoya away. Just how many women does he want in his life? Get out of the way. Feng Ruqing's gaze was cold as she raised her hand and pushed aside the guard, who was blocking her way. The guard stood up and ran into the courtyard, shouting hysterically, Master! Master! Someone is here to cause trouble. Someone has come to take young lad's place. Feng Ruqing's gaze was cold, so cold that Qing Zhu in her arms shivered. Princess, can we discuss for a while? Say what you want to say now. When you're angry, can you not scare me? I'm scared. Feng Ruqing remained expressionless. Old Master Duan rushed out in rage. There was a beautiful woman next to him. This woman was quite good-looking and had a delicate face. It was also impossible to tell from her appearance that she had a daughter like Feng Lianyi. However, she was very plain compared to Si and Nailan Yen. Feng Ruqing was even more convinced that Xiaoya would definitely be more beautiful than her if she healed her face. Tianer, don't worry. I'll settle this for you. The old Master Duan patted Tianer's hand and stared at Feng Ruqing coldly. He sneered as he saw her belly. Little girls nowadays are so shameless. If she can even hook up with other people's husbands, what else can't she do? Duan Qiong, that brat, claims that he only loves Chia, but look what he has done now. Feng Ruqing glanced at Jin Tian coldly, and with a single glance, she could guess this woman's identity. Indeed, people nowadays are so shameless. They can even do disgusting things, such as stealing someone's husband. Qing Zhu said Xiaoya was Duan Qiong's wife, and this woman had snatched Duan Qiong away later. But thankfully, she has stolen Duan Qiong away because Xiaoya deserves a better man. Little girl, old Master Duan's face sunk. What are you doing here? Qionger is not going to come out to see you. Feng Ruqing sneered. If he doesn't come out, I'll just go in. Ha! Old Master Duan laughed wildly, and his eyes were filled with anger. Little girls nowadays are so wild and proud of it. It's a pity that I'm the one who can make the decisions in this Duan family. I'd like to see how you can get in. Boom! Powerful energy appeared, covering the entire sky. Me for extra chapters. Advanced King Warrior. Well, a King Warrior only, and she had nothing to fear. It seems that Duan Qiong is a coward and needs you guys to back him up. Then I must still go in today. Initially, she had only wanted to take a look and have a good talk. After all, she was pregnant, she should not get angry. As long as Xiaoya was safe, she could talk to Xiaoya properly before coming back to settle the score with them. Now, it seemed that she had to do it right now. Little soul, Feng Ruqing called faintly. As soon as she spoke, she saw a handsome man with a cold face appear next to her. He stared at Feng Ruqing with eyes filled with hatred. He was dreaming just now, and in his dream, he saw the 9th Emperor's servant who he had molested back then, and as a result, this woman had called him out. His body was still out of his control, and being forcibly shouted out of sleep was unpleasant to him. You have to go find someone. Feng Ruqing's face was expressionless. Bring her out. She is timid and can't stand the shock. You have to be gentle with her. I'll never let you go if you make her upset. Little Soul's face changed dramatically. He looked at Feng Ruqing resentfully, but he still chose to turn around and rushed over to the courtyard obediently. Old Master Duan looked tense as he saw the Little Soul's appearance. However, Feng Ruqing did not let Little Soul make a move and instead let him leave, making Old Master Duan quietly relieved. He did not stop Little Soul. Little girl, you're somewhat overreaching yourself. Old Master Duan sneered. He had initially thought that this girl would use the man just now to attack him, but she was planning to do it herself. Ridiculous. Does she look down on my Duan family, or does she think too highly of herself? You talk too much nonsense. In a flash, Feng Ruqing was already up in the sky. The little snake in her arms failed to stand still and accidentally fell into the crowd, leaving it in tears and snot from the pain. However, what made it want to cry even more was that there were already countless long swords over its body, scaring it so much that it did not even dare to move. Duan Manor's backyard. Xiaoya was lying weakly on her bed, her eyes half open, and her face was pale. Duan Qiong was still sitting next to her, looking at Xiaoya with a pair of infatuated eyes. Xiaoya smiled faintly and looked out the window to say that someone was coming to Duan Manor and asked him to go to check it out. Duan Qiong frowned and shook his head. The old master will deal with that. Xiaoya, I only want to accompany you now. These days, he did not touch Shintian again, even though he had to stay in her room. He said that the other day would be the last time, so he would not break his promise again. He now only wanted to accompany Xiaoya, even if she did not forgive him. He was afraid that once he left, she would disappear from his eyes. Xiaoya, give me some more time. I'll take you far away from here. Duan Qiong held Xiaoya's hand tightly. It doesn't matter if my daughter is no longer there. We can have another one, and only you can give me children in the future, me for extra chapters. Xiaoya's face was cold. It was not that she did not want to move from Duan Qiong's hand, but she really did not have the strength anymore. That old man was clearly trying to threaten Duan Qiong, but he did not kill her. He would send her life-extending herbs so that she would not die immediately from the poison. However, she felt that she did not have much time left. Just now, Duan Qiong said, it doesn't matter if your daughter is no longer with you. Xiaoya weakly closed her eyes. The endless anger coursed through her body. He. To Duan Qing, it's fine to lose one daughter as there would be another. Would he care about his daughter, who has never lived with him? However, to Xiaoya, her daughter was her life, and she was the one who had fought so hard to send her out of this place. Xiaoya, Duan Qiong tried to explain, but a powerful force suddenly burst in from outside the door, smashing the door to the ground. Duan Qiong's face darkened. He turned his head, casting his furious gaze at the door. Suddenly, he froze. Standing in the doorway was a man with a stunning face, but what made Duan Qiong startled was that this man. He was not a human. His body was all transparent. It was just a soul. Don't souls usually need to possess a human to survive? Why is he here? However, soon, Duan Cheong discovered a black sword floating above the man's head, and it was glowing with a strange and powerful light that sent shivers down his spine. The black sword followed its sword spirit to protect it from death. However, they also had a weakness: neither the black sword or the soul could move too far away from Feng Ruqing. Xiaoye turned around, and when she looked at the man's handsome face, her face turned pale, and her eyes were burning with rage. This bastard, she knew him. Who are you? Duan Cheong looked at Little Soul and asked coldly. Little Soul smiled evilly. I'm here to take this woman away. Xiaoye suddenly panicked after hearing the man's words. She clutched the bedsheet and refused to let go. If she stayed with the Duan family, at most, she would have died on the spot. However, if she were taken away by this guy, he would use her to threaten the Ninth Emperor. She would rather die than follow him away. Duan Cheong sneered. No matter who you are, I won't let anyone hurt Yair. Little Soul raised his eyebrows and looked at Duan Cheong smilingly. Won't let anyone hurt this mute girl. This girl is dying, and he said he wouldn't let anyone hurt her. Ridiculous. Boom. A burst of powerful energy suddenly rushed toward Duan Cheong, sending him flying out. He was slammed hard to the wall before he started spitting blood. I can kill 100 weak chickens like you only with one punch. Little Soul sneered, strode to the bed, and frowned. Me for extra chapters. This woman should have been poisoned. TSK, it's pretty miserable, she's dying. Xiaoye was a little flustered as the man approached her. She bit her lip hard with stubbornness in her eyes. I'm here to take you away. Stand up and walk with me if you don't want to be carried by me. This girl was one of the Ninth Emperor's people, and he was afraid that the Ninth Emperor would kill him. Otherwise, he would not have bothered to talk so much and would have just carried her up and left. Xiaoye's eyes widened in panic. Her face had already been badly disfigured, but how could this bastard still recognize her as the Ninth Emperor's people? Back then, this guy had always been against the Ninth Emperor, and she could never forget that he had changed his face to seduce her to get revenge on the Ninth Emperor. Fortunately, the Ninth Emperor showed her this guy's true face before she fell into his trap. Only then did she realize that this gentle, handsome young man was actually a bastard. She was the Ninth Emperor's people. How could she be with the Ninth Emperor's enemies? So, as she kicked the bastard in the face, walked away, and never saw him again. It was because of that incident that she did not dare to contact any men for many years until she met Duan Cheong. However, she did not expect that it would end up like this. Perhaps. She was not destined to fall in love with someone. Do you want to leave or not? Answer me. The man looked impatient. This guy wants to kill you. Are you still thinking about him? Why did the Ninth Emperor keep a stupid woman like you? She still wanted to protect such a scum. Seeing that Xiaoye didn't react in any way, Little Soul did not bother to talk to her anymore. He looked at the black sword, signaling the black sword to go and drag her away. The black sword bent into a hook, hooking onto Xiaoye's lapels. Xiaoye panicked. She did not know where she found the strength to hold onto the bedpost tightly, refusing to leave. Little Soul's face darkened. Dumb girl, let your hands go, or I might accidentally hurt you. Xiaoye shook her head, crying. She would never give this bastard the chance to threaten the Ninth Emperor again. No one could harm the Ninth Emperor. That guy is such a scumbag. He has many women with him. Is he worthy of your thoughts? Follow me now, or I won't be nice to you. Little Soul was anxious. Why is this woman so stubborn? The Ninth Emperor knows many great men. Can't she just pick one of those guys? Even that Feng Lianqing from General Manor is much better than this guy. Why does she want to suffer like this? You let go of Yair. Duan Qiong finally crawled up. His face was pale after he had coughed up a mouthful of blood. Yair won't go with you. Little Soul glanced at Duan Qiong coldly. Shut up. His voice was so powerful, causing Duan Qiong to suffocate and spurt out a mouthful of blood again. He then slowly fell to the ground. Little Soul turned to look at Xiaoya. Are you coming with me or not? Xiaoya shook her head. No. I'd rather die than follow you. Well then, I've no choice. Little Soul sighed and signaled the black sword with his eyes. However, the black sword made a buzzing sound of protest. After all, Little Soul was just the sword's soul, not its master. Even so, it also understood that no matter how strong Little Soul was, he could not drag Xiaoya away because he was just a soul. The black sword loosened Xiaoya's lapel and slammed the back of Xiaoya's head with its blade. Slowly, Xiaoya closed her eyes and fainted. The black sword bent again, trying to drag Xiaoya out. Me for extra chapters. Wait. Little Soul frowned. You'll be in trouble if that woman sees you doing that. She won't hurt you, but she will beat me. The black sword stiffened and stopped moving, not daring to move anymore. Little Soul turned to the trembling servant outside the door and sneered. If you don't want to die, come here quickly and bring her out with me. Women were troublesome. Especially this mute girl. The servant walked in. She looked at Little Soul in panic. She did not dare to disobey him, so she could only squat down and pick Xiaoya up from the bed. A part of Xiaoya's arm was exposed, and only then did he see that not only her face had been ruined, but the mute girl's skin was also filled with scars, and it was heartbreaking to look at. Somehow, Little Soul was a bit furious as he saw Xiaoya's miserable appearance. He liked to seduce women back then, but he never took his relationships to a serious stage. He only talked to those women to prove his charm. He never had a substantial relationship with those women. He treated them like a gentleman should. Besides, he couldn't hurt women wantonly. To him, women were like delicate flowers and were meant to be pampered. Except for the 9th Emperor. The 9th Emperor doesn't look like a woman. Oh, and those women around the 9th Emperor. They're all crazy. Pervert. Your Duan family has bullied a woman to this extent, but this woman is still devoted to you. I've always dreamed of having a girl who would be devoted to me back then, but you. You don't know how to cherish her when you have her, such a scum. I won't kill you because I don't want to get my hands dirty, and am afraid that your disgusting blood will make me uncomfortable. Little Sword, let's go. Someone will take care of this trash. Snap. The black sword struck him hard on the head with its hilt. Its buzz was filled with anger as if it was a warning. It seemed like the black sword did not like to be called Little Sword by him. Little Soul touched his head and glanced at Xiaoya, who was in the servant's arms. This mute girl was really ugly. Usually, he would never have any sympathy for such a girl. However, for some unknown reason, his heart filled with a bit of hatred and pain. In the courtyard, Old Master Duan's palm was like the wind, blasting at Feng Ruqing with a powerful force. Feng Ruqing knew that the child would be fine in her belly, but she still deliberately dodged Master Duan's attack and did not meet him head-on. It seems that as my belly gets bigger and bigger, the more inconvenient battles become. The child in her belly was strong and unique. Her child no longer brought any trouble to her, and it was even strong enough to defend itself. But, as a mother, she would not let anyone hurt her child. Back then, when Feng Ruqing had just made a breakthrough to King Warrior tier, the only way for her to consolidate her strength was to fight someone stronger. She would not let go of the opportunity to fight a powerful man like old Master Duan. However now, she did not dare to fight him harshly and could only dodge his attacks. She was afraid that he might accidentally hurt her baby girl. Me for extra chapters. Indeed, in Feng Rooking's mind, she had already decided that the baby in her belly was a girl. Little Guogua, help me smash him to death. Feng Rooking took a few steps back and sneered. Boz! The little pot instantly descended from the sky, setting off a stormy wave and slamming down. If old Master Duan had not dodged quickly, perhaps the pot might have smashed his head flat. He subconsciously wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. The way he looked at Feng Rooking had changed as his eyes now were filled with cautiousness. Who the hell are you? What are you doing here? At first, he thought Feng Rooking was the same as those who deludedly wanted to enter the Duan family. But now, after he saw a powerful Feng Rooking and her little pot were, it made him understand that this woman was not here for Duan Cheong. He knew that his son was not charming enough to make such a girl fall for him. However, no matter what, since she had come to cause trouble in the Duan family, she was the enemy of the Duan family. Little girl, old Master Duan sneered. This is the main city of Yunhuan Kingdom. What you have done shows that you have no respect for our emperor. So, if you don't honestly explain your purpose here, it'll probably be difficult for you to leave this city. Feng Rooking raised her hand, and the little pot came down on old Master Duan once again. Old Master Duan was so shocked that his face was all pale as he hurriedly dodged to the side. The storm from the little pot still struck the old man, sending him flying away and then rolling on the ground messily. It was the first time he had been in such a mess since his Duan family had become one of the powerful families in Yunhuan Kingdom. And the one who got him to this state was a pregnant girl. Old Master Duan's face reddened with shame. He was beaten by a girl in front of so many servants of the Duan family. How was he going to face the public in the future? Steeply, he glanced at the green snake that was being racked on the ground by the Duan family's guard. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he said coldly, "Girl, ask this pot to stop, or else I'll kill your spirit beast." Spirit beast? Feng Rooking looked blankly at the miserable snake on the ground and smiled faintly. Oh, so this snake is a spirit beast. I found it outside and wanted to use it to make soup. It's good if you want to do it for me. Qing Zhu stiffened, unable to cry, looking at Feng Rooking resentfully. Old Master Duan was stunned after hearing Feng Rooking's words. He thought that this snake was this girl's pet. However, this girl had a divine item like a pot, so her pet that followed her must be as strong as her pot, and this little snake. It looked so weak and could not be her pet, therefore, he hesitated, not knowing whether or not he should do anything to the little snake. This girl wanted him to kill this little snake for her. No. No, he could not do what she wanted. While old Master Duan was hesitating, he saw a storm suddenly appearing. All the guards were blown away and fell unconscious onto the ground. The little snake quickly pounced onto Feng Rooking's hand. Its eyes watered as it stared angrily at her. I'm a handsome and cute snake. How could you do this to me? Feng Rooking looked at the guards and then at the little snake. They caught you, and their swords were already pointing at you. If I haven't said so, how could I have distracted them to save you? Qing Zhu looked at Feng Rooking with a silent grudge on its face. Me for extra chapters. The guards held me on the ground for a long time, and you just notice me now. You, old Master Duan's face darkened as he pointed at Feng Rooking angrily. Feng Rooking frowned. Little pot, I don't like him. Smash his head flat. All the people there looked panicked. This girl is beautiful. She's pregnant, but how could she be so violent? Smash someone's head. Ha ha ha, Duan Yu, will never succumb to an evil man like you. Our emperor will never let you go if your pot smashes me to death. We are all the emperor's people, and you have done a disrespectful thing against the emperor. Old Master Duan knew that he could not fight the pot. He laughed wildly. Second Prince, this woman is a spy from Tianling Kingdom. She has bad intentions, so I would like to ask Second Prince to inform the Emperor to kill this woman. He had not stopped bribing Second Prince all these years, and as soon as Second Prince informed this to the Emperor, this woman would be executed immediately. Feng Riching was stunned and looked at Old Master Duan blankly. How did you know that I am from Tianling Kingdom? Old Master Duan laughed out loud. Second Prince, did you hear her? This woman has admitted that she's from Tianling Kingdom. She's a spy. Among the four kingdoms, the emperor was most concerned about Tianling Kingdom. Therefore, he had deliberately mentioned it to provoke Second Prince. Still, he did not expect that this woman was really from Tianling Kingdom, and had foolishly admitted her identity in front of Second Prince. Second Prince stopped and waved his hand. Guards, arrest Duan Yu now. Duan Yu and the rest of the Duan family were stunned. Their eyes were filled with horror. Second Prince had always been on good terms with the Duan family, so why did he suddenly want to arrest the old master of the Duan family? Was he arresting the wrong person? Second Prince, Duan Yu's laughter stopped abruptly. His eyes were filled with panic. I think you've made a mistake. You should arrest this spy, not me. Second Prince was expressionless. I am not mistaken. I've been looking for you, Duan Yu. I heard that Duan Qiong abducted a girl and kept her in Duan Manor, locking her in the room. Yunhuan Kingdom values freedom. We should put the rights of the people over and above everything else. How could you do that to her? Duan Yu was stunned. Abducted a girl. When have I done that? Besides, how many women have you abducted, Second Prince? Yet, you have the nerve to say that. Ridiculous. Old Master Duan did not dare to say this. His face darkened as he gritted his teeth and said, Second Prince, I don't know what you're talking about. Our Duan family has never done such a thing. Oh, wasn't that mute girl abducted by Duan Qiong? Me for extra chapters. Duan Yu was still a bit confused, but only after hearing this did he suddenly regain his senses. Second Prince, you must be mistaken. Duan Qiong didn't kidnap Qi. She was the one who wanted to follow Qiong back. I don't know who has spread this nonsense outside. Boom. As soon as the words fell, the huge pot smashed Duan Yu's head without warning. Everyone present turned pale. Jin Tian panicked and immediately moved a few steps back. She clenched her fists tightly, not daring to look at Duan Yu, who was smashed by the pot. The huge pot flew up from the ground, and smoke rose everywhere. Old Master Duan crawled up slowly. He was covered in dust, and his face was somewhat livid. In his hand was a jade pendant that had been shattered into pieces. If it was not for this jade pendant, that could automatically create a barrier to block the attack, his head would probably have been smashed flat by the pot. Second Prince, Duan Yu did not even look at Feng Riching. He turned to the expressionless prince and growled, My Duan family has done nothing wrong. Now, you are helping a spy to destroy my Duan family. Second Prince sneered. I don't want my Yunhuan kingdom to have a scum like you. Duan Yu's face darkened. He quickly dodged to the side as he saw that the huge pot was about to smash him again. Second Prince glanced at Duan Yu before he walked over to Feng Riching. His expression changed quickly. He looked indifferent and arrogant just a moment ago, but now a huge smile had broken upon his face. Master, how did I act just now? I've taught that old man a lesson without anyone realizing that you are my master, and am your servant. Feng Ruqing was speechless. Everyone present was startled and remained silent. The cold aura made them tremble in fear. Qing Zhu looked at second prince with some contempt. When did you teach that old man a lesson? This guy is as stupid as Qing Han. Yunhuan Kingdom's prince certainly knows how to flatter people. Second prince. Duan Yu roared out in anger. She's a spy of Yunhuan Kingdom. How dare you associate with a spy? Does the emperor know? What about your people? Second prince sneered. Nothing is more important than my master. Duan Yu was filled with anger. His eyes were red as he stared at Feng Ruqing. However, Feng Ruqing no longer paid attention to him as she saw Xiaoya, who was being held by a servant. Her eyes were bloodshot. Princess, calm down. Even if Xiaoya dies, we can still avenge her death and just kill the whole Duan family. Feng Ruqing raised her hand and slapped the nagging snake. She moved like a storm, rushing toward the servant and snatching up Xiaoya in her arms. Xiaoya's breathing was a little weak, making Feng Ruqing even angrier. Me for extra chapters. Who did this? Who poisoned her and knocked her out? Little Soul, who had just returned with the black sword, heard this and stumbled, and he subconsciously looked up at the black sword. The sword, however, had been so frightened that it was trembling and making buzzing sounds. Little Soul was silent for a moment. If I say that the black sword has knocked the mute girl, the ninth emperor would definitely not believe it and might even blame me. Therefore, without any hesitation, Little Soul quickly said, Duan Qiong did that. The mute girl saw that you had sent me to rescue her, and excitedly wanted to come with me. Who knew that Duan Qiong would become so heartless, afraid that the mute girl would leave with me, so he knocked her unconscious. I rescued her from Duan Qiong, and brought her back to you. Little Soul's voice was loud, and the black sword that heard him nodded as well. Yes, we didn't do it. It's all because of that bastard Duan Qiong. We're innocent. What have you done with my son? Old Master Duan's eyes were filled with anger. I knew this woman was a scourge, sooner or later, shall be a scourge to our Duan family. She knows Chiya and must have come for her. This damn woman really wants to destroy my Duan family. He should not have let her stay. He should have ignored Duan Qiong and kicked her out. Feng Ruqing raised her hand and caressed Xiaoya's cold forehead. Murderous intent gradually appeared in her eyes. If your family had treated Xiaoya well, maybe I would have put the past behind me and let you become Xiaoya's slaves and serve her for the rest of your lives, but now, I think Xiaoya doesn't want to see you again. Xiaoya had been hurt so badly. She had not fully recovered, but these people had abused her again. It was all her fault for not protecting Xiaoya. Little Soul's body stiffened. Feng Ruqing placed Xiaoya slowly on the ground with an expressionless face. You and Little Sword protect her. Don't let anyone hurt her again. The black sword was a little scared, trembling. Little Soul did not say anything as it stood next to Xiaoya. The ninth emperor is a madwoman. No one can stop her when she's angry. Only Qing Zhu was a little envious of Xiaoya. If Princess treats me like how she treats Xiaoya, perhaps Master will not dare to threaten me to make me into snake soup again. Why not ask Princess to be my master? She'll protect me just like she protects Xiaoya. You're Duan Qiong's second wife, right? Feng Ruqing walked toward Jin Tian and said, I don't know what Xiaoya had suffered back then. I met her with bruises all over her body, and the wounds are still there even after 20 years. She was poisoned and mute, and her wound was so deep that she could not recover for years. I could help her heal her wounds and scars, but she refused. A woman who doesn't want to recover her beauty must have reasons related to her love. I asked her if the person who injured her was her lover. She denied it. However, she admitted that she was hurt because of her lover. Jin Tian trembled as her eyes were filled with panic. No matter how much that old man hated Xiaoya, he would not ruin her face. At most he would just kill her. It must be Jin Tian, who was jealous of Xiaoya's beauty. Me for extra chapters. No, don't be ridiculous, I'll never admit it. Never. She loved Duan Qiong, and she had only him in her heart. If she confessed, Duan Qiong would surely leave her, a pain she could not bear. It's all right if you don't admit it, as long as I know that you did it, Feng Ruqing sneered. I'm not saying all this to make you confess but to make it clear that you lost your life for what you did back then. I want you to regret what you did before you die. Whether she pleaded guilty or not was none of her business. She would never let the people who had hurt Xiaoya go, but she would not kill them wantonly. All guilt would depend on the act. For example, Duan Qiong, he tried to kill Xiaoya. However, if Xiaoya could not let go of him, she would turn him into Xiaoya's slave. As for Jin Tian, she deserved more than 1,000 cuts. Feng Ruqing raised her hand, and a blast of spiritual qi sprang into Jin Tian's brain. Jin Tian's face was pale with pain, and her voice cracked. What did you just do? It hurts. It hurts so much. Feng Ruqing's face was expressionless. It's just a spiritual qi for you. My spiritual qi will destroy your brain, your body, and soul. Until you're dead. Jin Tian trembled and looked at Feng Ruqing in horror. Demon. This woman is a demon. Feng Ruqing lowered her body. She cupped Jin Tian's chin and sneered. Jin Tian was already over 40, but she was still beautiful. No wonder that Duan Qiong had made her his wife. Does it hurt? The pain Xiaoya suffered was 100 times worse than yours. And my Xiao Yin. She was separated from her real mother because of you, and to this day, she still does not know her mother. Do you know the pain of knowing each other but not recognizing each other? Do you know the kind of pain a mother feels when she's been locked up for 20 years, with physical abuses that hurt over and over again, and is forced to be separated from her daughter for 20 years? These two women she loved, one was cute but abrasive, following Feng Ruqing for so long that she could not get rid of her no matter how hard she tried. While the other one, when she saw Xiaoya for the first time, she felt as if they had known each other for years. Little Soul smirked. If this woman is a man, she must be a scum who dates more than one girl at a time. So, Feng Ruqing smiled. What makes you think I'll let you die happily? It'll make you pay back the pain you've caused Xiaoya 100 times over. Xiaoya could hear everything. She desperately wanted to open her eyes, but she could not open them. However, as soon as Feng Ruqing said these things, Xiaoya suddenly got the strength to open her eyes and saw a familiar stunning face. Tears slowly flowed down her cheeks. She's here. It's not a dream. I know she'd come. Me for extra chapters. She thought that she would never see her again. That bastard must have abducted her when the 9th Emperor just happened to arrive. Xiaoya was already weak, but somehow she got the strength to get up from the ground and run to Feng Ruqing. Tears and snot were streaming down her face. She sobbed as if she was trying to tell her endless grievances. It's all right, Feng Ruqing stroked Xiaoya's head gently. You're not feeling well, go and rest first. Well, go back after I've settled these matters, and I'll cook you an herbal dish. Xiaoya nodded, her mouth slightly parted as she cast an accusing gaze at old Master Duan. Feng Ruqing followed Xiaoya's gaze, her eyes slightly sunken. He was the one who poisoned you. Xiaoya nodded. Was he also the one who knocked you unconscious? Xiaoya was startled. Her eyes were filled with anger as she saw pale little Soul standing behind Feng-Ruching. Feng-Ruching glanced at little Soul. You hurt her. And lied to me. Little Soul stiffened. It wasn't me. It was Little Sword. It threatened me to lie, I had nothing to do with it. Boz. Little Sword was furious, and with the hilt pointing downward, it landed hard on Little Soul's head. I'll get back to you later. Feng-Ruching turned her gaze and walked toward the old man. You also hunted Xiaoye and wanted to kill her, right? I heard from the Tang family's elders that when the Gu family's second master picked Xiaoyin, she was being hunted by somebody. The Tang family's elders did not mention Xiaoye, but Xiaoye indeed sent Tang Yin to the Gu family's second master. It might be inconvenient to talk about her, old Master Duan sneered. That little girl is still alive. Do you know who she is? Ha! That girl is a disaster. Bang! Feng-Ruching kicked him. While using the jade pendant to resist the huge pot just now, old Master Duan's energy had also depleted. He was now defenseless and was kicked hard to the ground by Feng-Ruching. Feng-Ruching stepped on old Master Duan's mouth. To me, Xiaoyin is a good girl. Whoever she is, I'll protect her for the rest of my life. Back then, she went to the Tang family to save her father. Tang Yin grew up in the Tang family. However, that girl had abandoned them for her. Since Tang Yin had chosen her in the first place, how could she bear to let that girl regret her choice? She never said some things to those around her, but be it Snow Wolf, Qing Zhu, or anyone else, she would never let anyone hurt them. Xin Tian snapped. Old Master Duan is right. You can't protect that little bastard. She'll bring a disaster to you. No one who's with her will end up well. Feng-Ruching glanced at Jin Tian coldly, causing sharp pain on Jin Tian's head. She felt like her body was about to explode. Xiaoye was furious as she pounced on Jin Tian. Her fingers were steeply long and sharp, scratching Jin Tian fiercely. You can insult me, but not my daughter. Xiaoyin is not a bastard. She's my lovely daughter. When Duan Qiong rushed over, he just happened to see Xiaoye pouncing on Jin Tian and scratching at her. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something but nothing came out. Xiaoye turned her head and saw Duan Qiong. She pursed her lips and did not stop scratching. She sat on Jin Tian's body as her nails were still full of blood, scratching Jin Tian's face. Me for extra chapters. Chia, you slut. How come you and that bastard didn't die out there back then? I'm telling you, Liani is now with Tianya, and if you dare to make a move against the Duan family, you'll definitely end up worse than me. Jin Tian's brain buzzed, and she lost all her senses, ignoring Second Prince as she roared out in anger. All the four kingdoms still held a grudge against Tianya, wishing to destroy him. However, now, Jin Tian was so furious that she couldn't care less what Second Prince might think about them. Her eyes were all red and fierce. Duan Qiong was stunned. He suddenly rushed in front of Jin Tian and picked up her lapels. The person who was sent to chase and kill Yair back then. Did it have something to do with you? He was so angry when he knew that the Duan family had sent people to hunt and kill Xiaoye and her daughter. However, after all, this old man was his father, and no matter how angry he was, there was no way he could kill his father. However, he never knew that Jin Tian was involved. Back then, it was old Master Duan who confessed to all of them and said Jin Tian was innocent. Duan Qiong was trembling with anger. The person I've been sleeping with these days is such a snake and vicious woman. Jin Tian's face turned pale. She looked at Duan Qiong in panic. Brother Duan, listen to me, shut up, bitch. You bitch. Duan Cheong slapped Jin Tian's face, veins bulging on his forehead. You lied to me for so many years. I thought it was someone sent by my father, but I didn't expect it to be you. You're the one who harmed Yair and made her hate me. Little Soul looked at Duan Cheong, surprised. You mean? If your father sent that person, you'd be able to let bygones be bygones? Duan Cheong turned back angrily. You shut up. Little Soul sneered. Because it was your father, so you're able to forgive him. Hee hee. How can this girl like a bastard like you? Her taste is so bad. Feng Rooking's face darkened. It seemed that no one in this Duan family was truly good to Xiaoya. Xiaoya, Feng Ruqing did not look at Duan Cheong and turned to Xiaoya. I only ask you one thing. Can you forget him? Xiaoya stiffened. She glanced at Duan Cheong's handsome face. With a smile on her lips, she gave a slight nod. To her, Duan Cheong was nothing more than a stranger now. Good. Feng Ruqing called out to Little Soul, watch over this old man and don't allow him to get up. Leaving this behind, she slowly walked toward Duan Cheong. Only then did Duan Cheong see this overbearing woman clearly. He seemed to understand that she had come to take Xiaoya away, so he could not help but panic. I really love Xiaoya. Really? Feng Ruqing sneered and kicked Duan Cheong. If you really loved her, why did you still have Feng Liani? If your feelings to her were real, how could you tolerate someone else hurting her so wantonly? Duan Cheong spurted out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale, and his eyes slightly panicked as he looked at Xiaoya. Yair, I'm sorry, me for extra chapters. His cry was full of regret, but he was more afraid of losing her forever. Xiaoya tugged Feng Rooking's sleeves with her hand, her eyes shining brighter than the stars. What do you mean? Feng Ruqing turned to look at Xiaoya. You want me to keep Duan Cheong alive? Xiaoya nodded. She no longer had any lingering memories of the Duan family, and she no longer loved Duan Cheong. However, back then, it was Duan Cheong who accompanied her through her dark days and also gave her light. Even though Duan Cheong hurt her later, she knew that the one who hunted her was not Duan Cheong. She had no way to forgive the Duan family, and for Duan Cheong. She still hoped that he would live. She wanted him to live with the guilt of her and her daughter. Dumb girl, Little Soul was a bit angry. Why did you let the 9th Emperor off the hook? Such a jerk should be cut 1,000 times. Feng Ruqing glanced at Little Soul coldly. From your words, it seems like you hate the jerk so much. Could it be that you have been hurt by a jerk? Bullshit. Little Soul got angry and said, I am a man. How could I go out with a jerk? I'm just fighting for this little girl. Oh, Feng Ruqing sneered, ignoring Little Soul. Her domineering gaze once again looked down on Duan Cheong. I came here for Xiaoya. She doesn't want me to kill you, so I'll keep you alive. However, I won't spare the rest of the Duan family. By the way, my name is Feng Ruqing. If you want to avenge the Duan family, just come to me. I'll accompany you to the end. Duan Cheong looked at Xiaoya with eyes that carried a deep pain. He had even forgotten about Feng Ruqing wanting to destroy the Duan family as his gaze was fixed upon the cold woman in front of him. Yair, can you please don't leave me? Xiaoya looked at Duan Cheong coldly. She was only willing to spare his life because of his kindness back then. Moreover, she knew that it was not Duan Cheong who was hunting her. When she decided to leave back then, she had made a promise to herself that she would never come back again. You don't have to beg, Xiaoya. Some things, once lost, can never be regained. Xiaoya, you're not feeling well. I'll let little soul send you back first. I'll take care of the rest. Xiaoya nodded firmly. She did not take a glance at the familiar courtyard behind her, much less at those familiar people. No. Duan Qiong panicked and got up, chasing after Xiaoya. Yair, you can't leave. Please don't leave me. Please. Tears flowed from the corners of his eyes as he was filled with grief. This time, it was different from before. 20 years ago, Yair had left the Duan family, but he believed that he could always bring her back. However, this time, if Yair left, he might never see her again. Xiaoya did not stop. She was still a little weak and could not even stand properly, needing the black sword on the side to hold her. Me for extra chapters. In the end, it was Second Prince who had sent someone to help Xiaoya. He always felt that the black sword was not very reliable. Hearing Duan Qiong's heartbreaking voice, he could not help but sneer. This bastard has offended Master and still wants to marry Master's girl. Hee hee. Ridiculous. It's for the sake of that mute girl that Master didn't kill you. When Xiaoya's figure had completely disappeared, Feng Ruqing turned around slowly, stared at Duan Qiong, and walked toward him. Just because I've promised Xiaoya that I wouldn't kill you doesn't mean I'll let you off easily. Feng Ruqing stretched out her hand, and a purple fruit appeared in her hand. She squeezed Duan Qiong's chin and forcefully fed him the fruit. Duan Qiong's mouth was full of bitterness, but it was nothing compared to his heart, which had already ached to the point of numbness. He stared dumbly in the direction where Xiaoya had left. This fruit. It will make one suffer from impotence. Feng Ruqing smirked. And it will disrupt your cultivation. Duan Qiong, do you know why I didn't kill you? Not only because of Xiaoya, but I want you to live and hold this guilt for the rest of your life. And I'm not afraid of you coming to get back at me. If you want to get revenge, go ahead. I, Feng Ruqing, will never be afraid of you. Feng Ruqing glanced at Duan Qiong's pale face before turning around and walked toward Old Master Duan once again. Old Master Duan's eyes were filled with panic. You heard what Tianer said just now, right? Liani is Tian Ya's people. I'm sure you know who he is in Land of No Return. Little girl, you've made enough mess here. If you leave now, I'll forget all about it. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.